Well, hello there and welcome to Healthy Childhood Development, starting from the feet. I am Kristen Marvin, the presenter today. I'm really excited and certainly hope you can hear me. Let's start. First thing that I do want to note is the fact that this information is research-based. It's an educational webinar, and it certainly does not replace any medical advice from your doctor. Now, I'm talking about feet, and especially children's feet, babies' feet. So I'm not talking about babies that have been born with a pathology, a disease. And this is super important because I want to make sure that the information you're given is education only, and it's for healthy feet to begin with. Okay, great. What you need to do. All my webinars are very informative. And in order to truly get all the information necessary, it's always a great idea to pay full attention. Turn off all distractions, Facebook, emails, phone, what have you. And you can grab yourself a pencil, pen, and paper. And if you have a child, if you have your child there, you're more than welcome to have your child sit down right next to you. It's always nice getting absolutely as much as you can possibly absorb. Might as well, since you're listening in. The objectives today, what you're going to learn. The morphology of the foot, so the structure, the shape of the foot. Shoes, what shoes are good for babies and kids. Function of the foot, as well as movement. Just simple, regular movement on a daily basis. And like a cute baby, happy baby, touching his or her feet. I'm not even sure if that's a girl or a boy. All right, I always like mocking myself. So here is a picture of me when I'm super young and a picture of me last year. I think it's kind of funny, but you can see that obviously foot development, just as well as whole body development, you know, there's a lot of different things on me, right versus left, as well as if you specifically look at a baby's foot or a toddler's foot, young child's foot compared to an adult foot. They are very different, vastly different. So as a child, it's not fully formed, not fully developed, soft, you know, kind of looks fat and cute. And an adult is fully formed and has more shape. So you can see the differences. You can also notice that there's pretty much not an arch in baby's feet, and then I have an arch today. I come from very much a sport background. I've done sports and health, fitness, wellness all of my life. And I was educated at Tulane University, Bachelor of Science in Exercise and Sports Science. Tulane's in New Orleans, Louisiana. So yes, I did have a wonderful party fun time, as well as work, study, study, study. And the University of Ottawa, where I did my master's in sports psychology and a Bachelor of Education in Health and Physical Education, Sciences, and French. I also have PhD coursework that I did at the University of Minnesota. It was fantastic. Continual education. I absolutely love continual education and certifications. So every year, I always do lots of it. yoga tune-up teacher trainer. Did that in 2012, and I am still helping people all over. I live in Perth, Australia. Help them with their body. Yoga tune-up is all about the 3 Ps: pain, posture, performance, helping to improve, obviously, eradicate pain, improve posture, and enhance performance, no matter what you practice or play. Restorative exercise specialist, okay, restoring your body to its natural function through whole body movements and skeletal alignment. Uber important, because a lot of us don't do that anymore due to how we live in this technology based world. Healthy foot practitioner, and I got that also through the Restorative Exercise Institute, Candy Bowman. And every year there's a lot of, there's so many courses online that you can take and really educate yourself, and a lot of them are free. So Coursera, and so honestly, just look online and it's a lot of fun. And last year I was at the University of Western Australia, and I did an 11-week dissection course looking at a man and a woman. Yes, so I dissected man and a woman. But every year I take courses in anatomy, physiology, and very much want to know about the body. That is so important to me. And the feet are especially important to me. What I do today: I'm the creator and owner of Making Movement Matter. My mission, sure, is to empowering people to take ownership and responsibility of their bodies through education, whole body movement, and proper skeletal alignment. It's amazing what you can do yourself. You can create change through self-care, and I think a lot of people don't realize the small things that they can do on a daily basis in order to affect change over time. And that's the thing. It does take time, but it's amazing how much you can do yourself. Let's get into the topic today, right? We got to learn about the childhood development through the feet. Morphology. We're talking about the shape, the form, the structure of the foot. Just looking at the foot as is. I want you to look at this picture. This is a baby's foot. What do you see? I'm giving you a minute because I really want you to look at it and just write some stuff down, or just think, okay, what do I see? Oh, I just see a foot. It's a little bit more than that. So a baby's foot is a healthy foot. And the toes are the widest part of the foot. This is a natural, healthy foot. You can also see it's kind of, like a triangle. Not perfectly, obviously, but kind of formed like a triangle. We have 3 arches of the foot. We have the longitudinal medial arch. So what most people know when you talk about arch, they see, okay, that's your arch. And then you have your transverse arch. So going from one side, the middle side of the foot, to the lateral side of the foot, outside. And then the lateral longitudinal arch. So going from the heel to the pinky. And that is very important to note as we go further in the webinar. Baby foot versus adult foot. Well, obviously, it hasn't fully formed. That includes the bones. There's 22 bones in a baby's foot and 26 bones in an adult foot. Depending on the person and their development, it takes years up until adulthood to fully form all 26 bones. It is so important what you do with your foot, baby, toddler, child, teenager. Everything matters, and it can have a significant impact on the health of the child later on in life. Here we go. To the left, you have a beautiful baby foot. Then bottom left, that's a turtle. Okay, that's an adult turtle, but accidentally went through a, a can holder plastic piece, in the ocean, and never got it off, and it stayed there. So it morphed into this turtle with obviously that tension around the midsection. Now, the turtle's still alive, and the form is completely different, structure's completely different, and probably that turtle functioning is not as good as a turtle that is, shaped properly in adulthood. And I will talk about how, the morphology, the structure, the form of the foot has significant impacts on the function of the foot and the ability for the person to be healthy later on in life. On the right, you can see, I don't know if you're familiar with the Chinese tradition of, binding the feet. It certainly does not look pretty, and I'm sure when you actually look at both feet up at the top right, you can tell that they don't work properly. It cannot work properly if a foot is positioned like that. And then bottom right, you have first, second, third, fourth. That's in terms of bunions, bunion formation, and from least severe to most severe. And this, has nothing to do with genetics, okay? It's purely environment. And I want to make sure that your child's feet are healthy as throughout their lifetime. Okay, I made this word up. Well, actually, I never looked on Google or anything like that. I don't know if anybody's ever used it, but I call it shoemorphosis. As you all know, metamorphosis, like, butterfly or other insects or animals, is a biological process, okay? So it involves, the body's structure. It changes absolutely through cell growth and differentiation. Well, guess what happens when kids put their feet in shoes? They change, and they changed instantly. On the left, the two left ones, so bottom and top left, those are baby shoes, and they're so cute. I love baby shoes. Baby shoes are the most flexible shoes, and really all they are is a bit of material. Shoes are only supposed to be for protection. Shoes are not supposed to be for support. Your foot is the support. Your foot was made to support you. No shoe can provide as much support as your foot does. That's why we're made. So it's great that we have baby shoes like this because, when they're super young, when they can't even walk. So why would we put stilettos on the babies? They can't even use them. But I would never recommend those anyway. But my point is, uber flexible, and it's just a little bit of material. Moving on to young, this is, I can't believe it, but let's say 2, 3, 4-year-olds were already middle, so middle top, middle bottom, we're already getting into toe deformation, so bringing the toes up off the ground, and also heels. So you look at the bottom and you see the girl's shoes, any type of a heel lift. Look at the back, so you have your heel, and there's a little bit of a lift in the shoe, a positive heel lift. Positive not meaning good. This is bad. If you change, okay, the way your foot is planted on the ground, you're going to change everything. So these shoes are completely changing the gait of the child and affects all joint movement as well as how the child uses his or her foot to roll in. All of us pronate in terms of to be able to walk, okay? Because that's how we support ourselves and how we move. But instantly already we're affecting children's development in terms of, motor development, the ability of the child to control his or her own movements, as well as just the skill, because there's so many, we're going to talk about later about the muscles and the nervous system flowing within the feet. We are confining our kids in shoes, and that really does not help them at all. Then when they go to school, a lot of schools, I live in Australia today, but I'm from Canada, and I've lived in 5 different countries. And a lot of the countries reinforce certain shoes that kids must wear. Now, if you look at the baby shoes compared to the school shoes, you can tell there's a lot more rigidity in the shoe. There's absolutely no flexibility at all. You're actually inhibiting growth in children's feet and the whole body by having non-flexible shoes. Because the shoe companies want you to buy the shoes, right? And shoes, will say we have a lot of support and this will help with your children, but it's doing the exact opposite. So I really want to provide more education to parents, as well as the education system, in terms of what shoes would best suit children. The whole point is babies' feet are malleable, right? So the shape of the foot can change easily over time. And you have to make sure that you're wearing the right fitting shoe for your child. Now, what's amazing is all research studies have shown that too much shoe wearing is detrimental to normal foot growth and development. I cannot stress this enough. So many studies around the world, this just isn't Australia, this is around the world, first world, second world, third world countries. People who have never worn shoes acquire very, very, very few foot deformities and, lesser problems with the entire body. As soon as a person is placed into a shoe, then problems can occur. So I would highly recommend, when, if you have a baby, if you have kids, allowing your kids to walk barefoot as much as possible in order to have proper growth and development in the child's foot and whole body. You massively affect full body growth if you keep your kids in shoes. I completely understand aesthetics. Oh, it looks so good if I put my child in such a pretty shoe. And it will affect their development. So please, please, please have barefoot. And I'm not talking about doing this on pavement or really hard surfaces. You want to do many different surfaces. Function. Purely stated, right? Obviously, have feet for locomotion. You want your baby to grow up and to be able to move as much as possible. In order for a baby to do that, they need to have the stability and mobility to locomote. And it takes time. Obviously, they're going to move around, wiggle woggle, and moving's fantastic. And then they're going to do some crawling, and they're going to stand and then fall down, stand, fall down, and then start walking. But we need to understand the importance of doing this without shoes. Function, there's many things I could say about this, but I just want to be clear on 2 important points. Now, if your foot, your structure, the form, okay, is compromised in any way, so i.e. shoes, you want to always make sure the shoes fit, then you will 100% compromise the function. So structure affects function. Morphology affects function. Everything affects function. Be sure to get your child in the appropriate shoes. Flat shoes and flexible shoes. Function, nerve flow. I'm going to talk to you about the nervous system. The only way a muscle can move is through the nervous system. So information going to the brain and coming from the brain. Nervous flow. And then muscles, circulation. Actual blood flow equals oxygen, having the appropriate amount of nutrients coming into your muscles so you can use them properly. When talking about the nervous system, well, you have to develop the neural pathways. When a child is born, they don't have all the neural pathways. They don't have, the myelin isn't wrapped around all of the nerves. What do I mean by that? Well, myelin is many cells, and they're different kinds depending on whether it's in the central nervous system or peripheral nervous system. And your nerves are wrapped. It's kind of like an insulation. Myelin is insulation to help the information, let's say, coming from your foot. So if I touch the baby's foot, the information goes right up to the brain. And then information from the brain goes back to the foot. Now, we want to make sure that the nerve is beautifully wrapped, myelinated, in order to get not only the appropriate information to the brain and back from the brain. So the speed and the accuracy matter. And this helps when you have fully myelinated nerves. Now, you notice in the picture, the foot is the furthest away from the brain. And the foot is the peripheral nervous system, so it doesn't have to do with the spinal cord or is attached to the brain, right? We want to make sure, since it's so far away, we want to make sure that we actually develop the neural pathways so the feet are sending the right information to the brain, and the brain sending the right information to the foot. How do we do this? Well, I'm sure, gosh, when you have a baby, when you have a child, you just want to touch it. And that's the most amazing thing you can do. Touch your child everywhere and anywhere to make sure that they get the appropriate, develop the neural pathways. And not only, touching your child and having fun and enjoying the process, because, palpation and that love is so important, but also texture. It does matter if you can get the child on grass, on sand, on all different materials in order for the child to really develop sensation. It's super important. And it is all about the communicating with speed and precision, as I said earlier. Now, if you do not have these neural pathways developed properly, then you're actually not able to contract and relax a muscle, because the only reason a muscle contracts and relaxes is through the information that the nervous system, that the brain gave it in the first place. Okay? So it's super important for the nervous system to be set in place. And the only way the nervous system can be set in place is if the child has the appropriate information coming from the foot. Function, circulation as well. So as I said, muscles turn on and off from information from the nerves. Circulation. If muscles are working properly and they are moving, then you have awesome blood flow and oxygen to all of that area. You want to have as much oxygen and blood flow as possible in the feet. Because once again, it is the furthest away from the heart, now that we're talking about the blood flow. And you want to make sure you move the feet as much as possible. And so in confined shoes, there is going to be a lack of movement. And I certainly don't want that to happen for the child. Movement. I just put a couple of pictures. This is one of my friend's kids. He is so cute. Any type of movement. What's so cool is when you see a baby move, when they can, actually walk around and do movements, their squat is the best squat ever. And walking around is really, really cute watching them walk. Watch your child as he or she walks or sits or squats. These are absolutely beautiful movements that we lose as we grow up. And it's not age. It has to do with the fact that we don't do it anymore, or we choose positions that are compromising to our whole body movement, our system. And it does affect the feet. If your child can squat all his or her life, that's even better, because squatting is actually a recovery position, and we're supposed to be able to do that throughout our whole lives. But the reason is from our positions that we hold on a daily basis. So if you sit too much, or do whatever it is you do, also feet, shoes are confining. So all those factors come into play. But movement is essential in order to have healthy feet, because movement allows for the circulation to keep on going and the muscles to keep on working. So you have the nerve flow and the blood flow. I'm just going to show you the whole thing around this. So lack of movement, unfortunately, a lot of us, I shouldn't even say with the kids, but even us in general, sitting in chairs at school, or sitting in the car too long, or sitting at the movie theater, or sitting at home playing video games, sitting this, sitting that, blah, blah, blah. Do so much sitting. How does that affect us, and how does that affect the feet? Like, well, what am I talking about? Well, if you look at the spinal nerve function, and you can see it in this picture, and I apologize, it's not big enough, so I'll explain it. The lowest part, you'll see in the most darkest orange, that is the sacrum. Within the sacrum, you have a lot of nerves that basically affect the ankle, foot, and toe function. What happens when people sit? Over time, when people sit, they sit on their tailbones. Okay, the tailbone, the most end part of the sacrum. That's the last thing you want to sit on, but unfortunately, that's what kids and adults are doing today. The longer you sit, the easier it is to posterior tilt and to sit on those nerves. Guess what happens if you sit on that particular area and you might be confining the nerves? Well, you can find information going down to the feet. So yes, you're affecting nerve flow and blood flow, period. And also the lumbar spine, you have nerves that affect the legs and the feet. Well, absolutely, you can get pain and numbness coming down to the ankle, the feet, and the toes from how you sit. And if you sit too long, if you sit more than 15 to 20 minutes, there is a decrease in, metabolic flow and many other things. So as you can see, how you sit, if you are not sitting on your ischial tuberosities, your sit bones, it makes a massive impact on the foot health, circulation, and electrical flow. I would love it, number one, if we sat less, including schools at least having adjustable desks. And if anybody, wants to partner up for me or knows of anybody that I can go see in order to have change occur in a quicker manner, affecting policy to affect the educational system so kids can move more, that would be fantastic. So that's my little rant of the day. Anyway, that's why sitting a lot obviously will affect your feet and will affect the functioning of your entire body. Now, what can you do as a parent? Get the right fitting shoes with flexibility and make sure they're flat, okay? So many times, and it's totally fine. I get it because, maybe you didn't know the information before, but a lot of times things are for aesthetics and things are really cute and we do things for show, and that's great. I mean, kids, babies are the cutest ever. I love them all, and I love watching them move. That's the most incredible thing for me. But what you put on your child, on their feet and on their body, do affect their function. So I would really like you to, and urge you to consider more flexible shoes and only flat shoes, because this will vastly impact their ability to move. And even, if you're really into sport, you want their kids to do sport or arts or dancing or what have you, anything, because, if your kids are born with feet, then they will need them to move in whatever it is they do. Make sure that you allow them to go barefoot as much as possible. And if they need to wear shoes because of protection, you don't want them to get hurt, then wear the appropriate shoes. In terms of the nervous system, creating the neuro pathways or reinforcing the neuro pathways, you want to make sure you touch your babies as much as possible and love, 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 kiss, 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 as well as get them on as much different textures. So going outside, inside, going on different carpets, because I realize some of you, have many winter, like 6 months of winter or what have you, so it's not like you can, get them to walk in the snow forever. Just allowing them to touch as many different things as possible would be fantastic. And enjoy as much movement with baby as possible. This is so important because a lot of times, you want to do so many things, and maybe you don't want the baby to confine you to your activities for the day. So you put a baby in a stroller for hours and hours and hours on end. Now, I'm not a parent, so I am not judging at all. I just want to make sure you understand that movement for a child, in order for him or her to develop as best as possible, they need to move as much as possible. So sitting for them is just as bad as sitting for adults. And so it's awesome to allow your child to move and move and move, and it's great. Another thing which I didn't mention is awesome is how many unique positions does a foot have? How much can you deform a foot? Well, Katie Bowman, the founder of restorative exercise, said that there's 8.38 times, 1,036 positions, deformations. So that's a gazillion, billion, trillion, whatever it is. It's for us today, living the way we do, we're never going to reach that point. But you have to understand the foot itself, the structure itself is 25%. The bones and muscles take up 25% of the entire body. So 25% of your body, yes, it does matter, and it does affect your system as a whole. And just think about moving, manipulating, and having fun as much as possible on the feet, and allowing your child to have fun with their feet will really help. I certainly hope that you learned something today. It was only 35 minutes, a quick one, but it's all to say how important the foot is, how important it is not only to the development of the child, for your child's ability to maneuver around the world, you know, circulation, electrical flow, and all of that. But it's more than that. It's coordination of the child, balance of the child, and what he or she will be able to do later on in life drastically affects them. You are more than welcome to email me, KristenMarvin@hotmail.com, or look on my website, makingmovementmatter.com. Thank you so much for listening, and love your kids, and have a wonderful day. Take care.